where I am right now, personally, as it pertains to collective energy. Hmm, I'm still kind of loving on it in some kind of way, but it's cautious, right? I in my last video, I verbally illustrated for you like the way shadow energy works and how, when you've seen videos of animals that kennels or rescue places and they've been abused and hurt and harmed, even though someone's coming in to help. They're like biting at them and scratching and snarling because they don't trust anything. Like, I'm not quite there, but like, there's a part of me that is that. So that's where I am with the collective. Like, I can see it and I can love on it from a distance, but if it comes near me in any way, I'm looking at it like it's a threat until it shows me it's not. That's where I'm at. I don't know what I wish I didn't have to live that way. I really do. My experiences have been complex, to say the least. And I don't think they needed to be that way. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, so I was in this video going to do the astrological reading plus the tarot reading, but I'll do it next video because I feel like I want to still talk. And when somebody might say, well, that's the Mercury retrograde of all things going on. Child, when I tell you I don't give a fuck about, it's like you might say something that upends this or that. Girl, boy, they, them, when I tell you, there is no verbal illustration that I can give to you to tell you how much I don't give a fuck about that. At this particular point, not at all. What I do care about, though, is if there are people who have struggled in any way that I am about to express and feel like they're the only ones struggling with that or have struggled with that, I want you to know you're not alone. And to, like, what's up? Anyway, it has been my experience, like, being there for my friends, family members, church members, all these things. I can be the go-to person. They can call me in the middle of the night. They know I'm going to answer. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to listen. I'm going to work through things with them. They know I'm going to have their back no matter what. But some of them, the moment they realized that I was learning, that I was more public about spirituality and astrology and things like that, it's like, oh no, we've been taught that what you're doing goes against God. We've been taught that what you're doing is proving that you're a crazy person, something like that. I've had enough experiences with that. I'm just like, so somebody told you what I'm doing is evil, even though what you know of me is kind, loyal, tough, a pillar, and someone who will have your back no matter what. But as long as I'm doing this, that changes your opinion of me. Go ahead and kick rocks. I'm good. Go ahead and kick rocks and be around those folks that you know gonna judge you. Be around those folks that you know ain't gonna have your back the same way as me. And y'all keep judging each other because I don't want no parts of it. That's where I am right now. I used to be real low key, and I got more and more high key about how I am and who I am because I can understand that all religions around the world have some substance and truth to it, while also understanding there are some things that have been zhuzhed up and changed and manipulated. Also, I also understand that someone else's interpretation of what they're reading is different than the next person's interpretation, which means it makes what they're saying in the pulpit partially their opinion on what it is they're reading. You know what never made sense to me? I'm gonna say it out loud, say it here for anybody who can listen. Why somebody else reading a book and interpreting to you what it means when you can read it for yourself? I never understood that. Right? Well, I got the word here, so I'm going to tell you from the word how you should live your life. Okay, cool. Maybe human beings need that. The generalized public might need that on the surface level, right? But at what point do they no longer need to hear specifically that? And you can speak from your soul and your heart and say, hey, here's something that came in my heart and mind to speak to you all about at length without a teleprompter. Because that's what a lot of the religious texts at this particular point to me is like you got this teleprompter telling you what your soul should already know. That's my subjective opinion. So whether or not I pick up a tarot deck or not should not discern for anybody. Whether or not I am solid, sane, competent, all those things. Hell, I forget where, either here or Facebook. I think it was Facebook. Because, I mean, no bones, I am a therapist. Master's degree and all that. Degree in science. I do have a scientific mind. But one of the things that was so difficult for me in that journey was expressing that I do read tarot to supplement my income to my governing board for counseling. Because there was a part of me that felt shame about that because of the stigma. But the stigma does have a point, because I've heard horror stories and personally experienced people trying it, taking advantage of folks' emotional health and mental health via spirituality. But they also do that in the church. So it depends on who you go and see, and if they have an ethical standard or not, or if they give a damn, or if they're competent. All these things apply to everything. It's just in this particular area they don't understand it because they didn't try to understand it and know it and why, the ins and outs of it, because someone else before today told them. Sorry, y'all. The itching is not necessarily here today, y'all. It's here. It's just right in between my eyes. Anyway, someone else told them, hey, dismiss astrology and dismiss tarot, dismiss all these things. Now, I can understand dismissing tarot because it's just a deck of cards there inanimate, but if you understood why it was worked, it's not about the cards, it's about the person in their mind and their interpretation. No different. I told a friend of mine once, she's like, I got rid of my tarot cards because I was feeling all kind of negative energy. I was feeling weird things, so I just put my Bible back on the shelf. And I'm like, that is to each his own. But I have a Bible on the shelf, and I also have it sitting right next to my several decks of tarot cards, because that can lead me to answers just like the other one can lead you to answers. Because when I was little, my pastor used to say, every now and again, sometimes when you're having trouble, just flip through the Bible, let it randomly come to you, and sure enough, you're going to end up on a page that's going to tell you something that you needed to hear or that might help you. And when I tell you 9 times out of 10 it did, it was so random. But that's the same thing tarot utilizes to give messages to the person. And then they trust within themselves those messages. It's no different. Now, you might disagree with me, with your opinion, but factually, I am correct. Hands down. Anyway, but no different than that, both can be used and utilized in such a way to cause harm. And that's one of those things that I've attempted and have fought against by teaching the different layers and how it's done. No, you may not be as skillful as somebody who's been doing it for years, but you'll know when somebody's taking advantage of you, though, if you know what you're looking at. And just like when we tell our children, teach our children about body autonomy and emotional wellness and personal space, we're teaching them to go anywhere, including in the church, and especially inside the church. And it never occurred to me that what I am doing is different for a reason, but that don't mean it's always comfortable. It has not always been comfortable. I've been this way long before it was fashionable or popular. On some side shit, I'm still working through the shadow energy, and every time I think I'm done with it, another layer comes up. That's how shadow work goes, right? The shadow energy of the fact that I've been in these spiritual streets since I was knee-high to a flea, only for the fleas to come along later, younger than me, and tell me I'm illegitimate, or signal to me that I'm illegitimate for some reason. Like, please get out of my face. That's the way I feel about it now. Please get out of my face. That is hurtful. That is hurtful on so many levels that I want no part of it. That doesn't mean I leave, like, for a little while, y'all. I was like, I don't want any part of this. Any part of anything spiritual, anything like that, because of the people involved. And then it went back to the church. Someone who I have very little respect for sometimes, but also I can understand a messenger can be imperfect but still have a good message for me. You understand? Because one of the things I live by, look beyond the fault and see the need, came from my father. We already know I don't say flies with him. She said to me when I was dealing with church hurt and decided I don't want no part of that. And I was about 15, 16 years old for the first time. I started to express this and how it didn't, the whole setup didn't make sense to me. Just like, you leave the church because you don't agree with all of the message. You don't leave the church for other people because it's not the church that hurts you, it's the people that hurt you. To which I already corrected her. If the church is the people, then it is the church that hurt me. Figure out which one you're trying to signal. Because if the church is the body of the people, then the body of the people, the ones who are doing the hurting, okay? So I get it clear. But I took away from that the understanding that I can get the message and understand what it is I'm being taught or told, while also not contributing or participating with those who are harmful and hurtful to me. See, I don't need nobody to read it to me. I can read and interpret it from myself. I don't need that, okay? And I haven't needed that for quite some time. I don't dismiss any levels of knowledge either. None of it. I don't say, well, this religion doesn't call God by this name, so they're wrong. First of all, a lot of y'all be out here speaking for what y'all perceive to be God. And I'm just like, it's no different than if you have someone who does not require an interpreter. And you walk into a conversation and say, this is what he meant to say, this is what she meant to say, this is what they meant to say. That is rude and quite arrogant. And that's where I feel like across the board, everybody trying to declare what God don't like right now. And all this happened because of what's happening right now is because of individuals who choose, who are making choices. It's like, it's easy. And I said this last video, it is easy to blame the government. It is easy to blame our Congress. It is easy to blame everything without taking responsibility for the fact that you contribute. Once we became more aware as a collective that the clothing manufacturers was using slave labor somewhere else, that was the point in which we stopped buying from that. That's the point in which we, as a collective, choose to stop buying from that particular manufacturer. There's other clothes, and you can learn how to sew. If you ain't got time for that, there are other manufacturers. There is actually small businesses you can buy from, things like this. There are choices you can make. But you have to look good. You have to look fly on a Saturday night or Friday night. You have to. So you choose to ignore that slave labor is being utilized to make your clothing. Once you saw your first video of straws and plastics hurting animals in the ocean, the same people who get mad, I'm going to digress down a rabbit hole right there. I'm going to leave that there. Once you saw straws and plastic hurting animals and the land, that it was your cue right then and there to start using canvas and stop using straws. What you need sipping cups for? You grown. Y'all chose to still use it. But it's the government. Is it though? They're only doing what you allow them to do and what you're contributing to. The first time your employer showed you that they was disrespectful towards you and everybody around you, that was your cue to leave and find something else. Start looking for something else until you find an employer that will treat you well. And then express that concern respectfully, because you want to keep your job. Because don't do what I said. I cuss everybody out and put them on blast. That was your cue to leave. That was your cue to invite anybody else who wanted to leave to join you and decide you weren't going to be treated like that. But instead, y'all wanted job security. And you want to look good. Oh, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that. You got to get shit to get to the top. Do you know? Are we different from animals or are we not? Because if we're not different from animals, we shouldn't be eating them. They're the same as us. They're the same. Because if it's eat or be eaten, this is the same thing that happens in the wild. If we're supposed to be consciously aware and cerebral beings above the animals, then we don't act like animals. We had choices along the way this whole time. And then it was completely spotlighted in the past 3-4 years. And there's still people who contribute to that. But the great thing about that is, it's like more and more people are speaking up and speaking out about it. Awesome. That ensures that we have a future. Believe it or not, that ensures that whisper of hope that I always still have has a chance. Those who speak up and speak out about these things and choose not to participate in it. Okay? Like tomorrow you wake up and you decide, oh, I'm going to an event. Still have fun, go to your events, do what you do, right? Choose harm reduction. You can't completely, at this point, no matter what you do, completely eliminate harm. It's very, very hard to do at this point. But you can reduce it. So you say you want to go out tomorrow, for example, and you want to look cute. Do you really have to go buy something new to impress somebody else? Go to a consignment shop, a secondhand shop. Go to a small business and buy whatever your fit gonna be. You literally reduced harm by so much just in that one act. And if enough people do that, then there will be no people overseas with slave labor. As a matter of fact, small businesses can grow that create clothing for us, especially those who create clothing in a way that reduces harm to the environment. Okay? It is the choices that we are making that is contributing to all of this. The reason why the governments are able to do what they're now doing is because it was allowed by the many. I know a lot of people don't like to see that part. And I frankly, at this particular point, don't care. What I'm gonna do what is gonna be done to me that hasn't already been done to me? This is my rationale for doing a lot of things. Right? It's a lot of difficulty dealing with and transmuting the energy of others, and that's why I don't choose to participate with others unless it's on a very surface level. And if I attempt to dig below the surface with you, because I'm opening up below the surface with me. And if you rebuke that or rebuff that in any way, I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna let you have that. But we can still be associates and we can still chill with each other, but we ain't gonna go deep. Okay? I don't avoid human contact the way I used to, thank goodness. I'm in a space where I can do that while understanding when I am in the midst of human beings. And I'm speaking from on behalf of myself and others who experience this. Sometimes I gotta make it short. At this particular point again, sometimes I gotta make it short. Sometimes I gotta sit in the corner by myself. And I've been this way for a long time, but it's gotten to a place where it's more and more likely that I'll be in a corner by myself than I'll be amongst the crowd, or be in a corner just talking to one person because I prefer person-to-person contact than a whole group of people. That kind of thing. A lot of where we are right now, there is a contribution. It's like, it's easy to blame. Well, there's this one small section of society. How many of y'all be hitting up Amazon multiple times a week? Jeff Bezos is a billionaire because a lot of y'all just don't give a shit. I ain't mad at Jeff. I used to be mad at billionaires and mad at Jeff Bezos. And you know what really woke me up is something really ridiculous and stupid. When they made that calf and gave it to Elon, I'm like, you are aware that there is not a billionaire alive that didn't have to step on the backs and necks of other people in order to make those billions. And y'all contribute to it. That's why, unpopular opinion, I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. Everybody lining up to give their money to Taylor Swift. We're having fun at the concert. Cool. Go have fun at the concert. I'm not saying don't have fun. But understand that Everybody's suffering. The majority of human beings who are suffering in poverty and things like this, including the young and the elderly, there's not one single thing I'm giving about that. This is a person that is a figurehead on an image that is not real. And it's like every time I go on social media, somebody's saying something about it. I'm like, if y'all don't shut up to me about that, I'm over it. It's like, yeah, in my mind, I'm like, all right, said, you're starting to sound like an old lady. I don't give a damn. At this particular point, I don't give a damn. Because a lot of what's around you is being created by you. And when I say you, I mean a collective of you. Every time you go to a fast food restaurant, every time you go to a chain retailer, every single time you make unnecessary trips in your car, every time you see a political thing on the news or social media and you decide to jump on a bandwagon based on your own ideas and beliefs, and anybody who don't believe that must be evil, every time you have that thought, you contribute to it. You're a part of the problem. Everybody think they solving the power problems by arguing with each other on social media, which I think is just ridiculous. Yes, people are being more educated and made aware, but if you're doing it from the space of you're my enemy, you're just creating and generating more filth and angry energy that is building up. I'm like everybody else. When Montgomery Brawl happened, I was sitting back laughing my ass off. Does that mean that I feel like after that, we should continuously view each other as something to war with each other over? No, that was an incident. Piss poor behavior deserves an ass whooping if it goes too far, period. No matter what you look like. That was the point. Understanding from this where I sit right now, unpopular opinion. Some kids call it hot takes. I don't give a shit either way. There is not a soul alive within any majority or minority group, as we call it. I don't like those words anyway, but there's no other descriptions I can come up with right now that isn't responsible for everything that's going on right now. And once we all take responsibility, actually do that real shadow work and get deep down to the soul and realize which way did you contribute to your own misery, and then stop blaming everybody else. That is the only time, that is the only way, that is the only light, that is the only truth. Because then you can start building something out of that. You can start from the foundation and realize, what can I do to create something beautiful? But what about all the people around me who is not creating something beautiful? We're not going to worry about that. I'm going to tell you right here, right now, this is subjective, so don't go along with this with fact. My subjective opinion is those who are not building a foundation on something beautiful or clean their slate so they could have that opportunity, I don't know if they're going to make it, fam. At this particular point, does that mean I hate them, dislike them, disregard them as human beings or beings of energy? No. That's the God. I whisper hope for a lot of folk, while also understanding the facts that all of us can't be here the way that we are here and everything be all right. It's just the facts. At this point, I'm just like, hopefully a sobering voice, but if nothing else, I feel better when I'm done. In some kind of way, knowing that I express the truth of things. Because sometimes it's very, very difficult to express that truth and feel two emotions. One, what if people hear it and see it and decide they want to send or be negative and abusive towards me? I'm gonna be frank with y'all. I didn't suffer enough abuse in my life. I've been through enough fights. I've been through enough hells. I don't deserve to be abused. And so I won't sit for it. I won't tolerate it. So if you do have something to say about negative about what I have to say, that's why I always tell you, I don't care. I'm not going to respond. I have no desire to argue with anybody over my opinion. And then the other part I hold is, I hope somebody hears it, or at least enough people hear it so there can be some people left. Because truth be told, If everything would just go to shit tomorrow, like a lot of people are hoping it does. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends. If everything goes to shit tomorrow, you want to know who gonna win? Who gonna win? There's a lot of people who think, oh, I'm prepared, I'm prepared. No, it's gonna be just like the movies, where people are robbing, assaulting, and pillaging. The toilet paper debacle of 2020 told us that. Like, you literally have to have already cultivated and built a community within your own community for you all to be protective and loving towards each other, while also understanding that you're gonna have to run some fades and pull some click clacks in order for you to have any semblance of peace if everything went to shit right now at this moment. The amount of vitriol that it is experienced online, and at this particular point, I'm in a safe space within those spaces. I've chosen to only follow accounts and be within the dynamics of people, not necessarily like mine, because everybody around me are not the same as me, but who are kind at their core. At their core, they're kind. And they demonstrate that on a regular basis. It's not a facade, it's just kindness. I choose that. Because anybody out here right now just constantly showing how much you are badass on the surface, you are a wounded child and probably can see sat on your ass fairly quickly. Now, there are times for balking, absolutely. And I have balked in my life. But right now, I don't know if it is the time or not. That's just subjective. I don't even know if I have an opinion on that. But I just don't want to be around it. I don't want to be around arguing and bickering and people talking about how this person is better than that person, how this ideology or belief structure is better than that one, when all you have to do is be kind. Generally speaking, kind. Or I hold this opinion, and when I hold it, I would like somebody, if they disagree with me, to be able to say they disagree with me without challenging me as a person and my identity. As long as I am not personally causing harm to someone else, literal harm, not imaginary harm, then cool. I would hope I'd be around people who are like that. At one point, I'm no longer a voter because I figured that whole thing out. I'm good. You do you, I'ma do me. It's like anything that's about people screaming right now, if y'all don't vote, Trump gonna be president again. And I'm just like, and what is that gonna change? What is that gonna make better or worse? Huh? Does it matter which one of them is up there? It's like, if y'all don't vote, Biden gonna get reelected. And does it matter? Does it really matter? Your cost of living has skyrocketed before those two presidencies, and it hasn't changed. It's gotten worse since those two presidencies. And that is the simplest maths I can give you. Human race is being exterminated in certain ways, in my assessment and opinion. Systematically exterminated so it don't actually look like a literal genocide. Now that's just me looking at the facts and saying, this is my opinion based on the facts that I see. Genocide looks different when they ain't got no guns in front of your face. Just saying, that's a certain type of person they want to be here. The type of person they want to be here is those who go along, get along, who will be good workers, or those who can be good capitalists. Now, here's the good part, because I know I've been saying a lot of things that just rah-rah. Here's the thing that I will challenge as long as my breath makes my lungs go up and down. That time is over. It is going to be put to an end. That is done. Whisper of Hope says, what I'm seeing a lot of especially the young folks doing, is pushing back against those ideas and paradigms. While I can see them struggling, understanding They're pushing back on it and saying, no, we're not doing that. And that's one of the whispers of hope I see on a regular basis. But that don't mean there's not a valiant effort being made to recreate workers and closed minds. And those who have open minds, boom, you get to be the boss and you get to be the one. What was Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django Unchained? That's every manager, every boss, over anything that has like multiple locations and or big ticket items and things like this, because truth be told, you don't matter specifically and individually until you matter, and you gotta matter to that bottom line in order for you to matter or be a part of that bloodline, which most presidents of the United States was part of one. And a lot of people don't really think about that all too much. It's like, oh, that's cute and that's fascinating, and then even go down a rabbit hole. But go down a rabbit hole, y'all, come with me. Go down a rabbit hole to that bloodline that leads all the way to the Magna Carta. And wonder why every single time, every year, our president goes over to England to kiss the ring. You know what I say? That's a conspiracy. Look, I'm going to say some swears. Go away, Sharon. Fuck you. Because the facts bear out. And conspiracy theories at this particular point is a compliment. Because the truth be told, a lot of what goes down in our current reality is bullshit. A lot of it's bullshit. But it's easier, even if you, and then I watch people see that it's bullshit and be like, nah, I'm gonna go with the crowd on this one, because if I deter with my vocalizations, words, and my thoughts and my actions away from what the crowd believes and understands, I will be ostracized. I can't handle it. My spirit is fucking brittle. I'm just like, I see it every day. And your spirit is, if you're one of those folks, your spirit is brittle by design. But just because it was designed to be brittle doesn't mean you have to fit that mold. You don't have to. It is my opinion, and it's a subjective, that those who choose to fit the mold are not the ones who are going to be leading the charge in the future. Just saying no. Now, there's several levels to this message. There's an additional message that's probably not going to be as wordy. Those who believe that they were awakened for a purpose so that they can teach the masses. You will always loved and supported. Always. But maybe it's time to stop fighting against those who you perceive to be your adversaries and start joining together and stop competing with each other. Maybe. I'm saying you that's what you gotta do. But it's my assessment at this particular point, if every bit of magical folk out there was to join together on one big team and try their hardest to change a lot of the dynamics, things would change in a way that it benefits not themselves but everyone. But I was told that was the purpose, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't know no more. Truth be told, if we go out with a blank tomorrow, it won't make me sad if I'm aware of it. But if we continue to strive and fight and keep putting out them whispers of hope, I ain't mad at that either. So I persist. At this particular point, I do believe it's time for us to change gears. I know I'm going to. I don't care if nobody else do. I'm changing gears. I'm not going to be here fighting with nobody about nothing. I'm going to say what I got to say and speak my piece. I'm going to give you a little astrology, read you a little tarot from time to time, say some things that you might want to know and understand, and invite you. If you ever want to do shadow work and have that done by someone who's competent, hit me up. That's it. Anyway, you're loved.